Hello, we'll do a case study, which is a realistic task, and you have to consider a company's problems, and work as a team to try to solve those problems. So that's a little bit about the class, about the unit we're doing. Here's a bit about me. I'm Jon-Eric, your verbling teacher for this hour. By the way, I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. Here are 3 quick rules to help you participate. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up, which means turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom quiet. Rule 2 is tune in to the new words that you're learning. Use them actively so that I can correct you and give you feedback. And rule 3 is open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. On screen right now, you'll see our brand new unit, Making Business Decisions Part 2. As you might remember from the last unit, we always begin by just talking about the picture on the screen and trying to figure out in what way it has to do with the theme of the unit. It is a very good practice for exams, but not only exams. But it's very good practice because it forces you in a very quick way to formulate your ideas and say something new and intelligible. And in fact, I've given you a technique for it. So the technique is four steps. Step 1, by the way, you can see this in the notes. I'll share it with you in a minute. Step 1 is say something that you see. Step 2, guess about why you're seeing it. Step 3, compare and contrast the situation you're seeing to something you know personally. And step 4, draw a conclusion or summarize the main points that you said. Those are the 4 steps. If you follow them, you'll create a very good answer very quickly. Now, in the past, I've gone around the room and had everyone say something that they saw. For this particular class, I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to ask you to try to follow the steps on your own. Okay? I'm going to do an example for you first. Then I'm going to refer you to the notes document where you can see the steps and you can see the language you need to use to follow those steps. So here's an example of step 1. Well, I see a guy sailing. Step 2, guess why you're seeing it. Well, I guess the reason I'm seeing him sailing is because out there on the ocean you have to make decisions quickly. So summarizing, well, I see a guy sailing, and out there on the ocean I know you have to make decisions really quickly. It can be kind of a life or death situation. Step 3 is to compare and contrast it with something you know. Well, I've never been sailing myself, but I have been in life or death situations. And the one I can think about, the one that comes to mind, is when I first learned how to drive. I remember leaving the highway, and in America, the ramp that goes off the highway gets cold faster than the highway, and there's signs everywhere. And I know about those signs, but I forgot. And I was leaving the highway when I first started to drive, and my car started to spin 360 degrees, and I had to make a decision really quick. In fact, the decision I made was automatic because I had done so much training when I learned how to drive that I didn't have to think about it. I think that's a really good example because if you've trained yourself to deal with an emergency, your brain will just switch on automatically. Step 4 in the process is to draw a conclusion or to summarize, right? So here I would probably draw a conclusion. I would say, so all in all, I think one good way to make excellent decisions is to train yourself so when the time comes, you know what to do immediately without having to think about it. So listen to all 4 steps put together now. I'm just going to repeat what I said, going through all 4 steps without saying the steps. Then I'm going to turn it over to each of you to say something on your own, and I'll share the language with you that I used. Well, in this picture, I see a person sailing. And, well, I guess what it has to do with decision making is that out there on the ocean, you have to make life or death decisions really quickly. I'd also add that I once had to make a life or death decision of my own. When I first learned how to drive, I was leaving a highway. My car, when it hit the off-ramp, started to spin because it was icy. But fortunately, I had done so much training that I knew to pump the brake and not panic. And I actually turned out to be okay. The car didn't even get a scratch on it. So all in all, I have to say that making a good decision has a lot to do with training yourself so that you can make a decision quickly without even having to think about it in most cases, particularly if it's an emergency. And that's what I think about making decisions. Boom, you're done. So that was my version. Let me share with you the language that I just used by looking at our notes document. When you open the notes, you see this blue graphic, Getting Results in Business. If you scroll down, you've got my contact information. On the next page, you've got a list of all the topics we've covered so far. And on the next page, you've got our table of contents where it says Jump to Topic. And guess what? Unit 23 is on the top. Either you click on it or just scroll down to page 6. Okay, that's for what we're going to do today. But what we care about first is how to describe a picture. So if you click on that, it's going to take you to page 16 and 17. And there, well, let me fix my page numbers, sorry. I should say start at number 1. There we go. So there you can see the 4 steps and the language that we used. There appears to be, there most likely is, seems to be, when a guess or speculating about why. Now I can always add an and word, like also, or I might point out, or I should say. I can always add those. But I'm speculating, so I want to use maybe, might be, suppose, imagine. And look what else I said here. I said what it has to do with, and then you say the theme. What it has to do with decision making is, that is a really good connector to use. What it has to do with the theme is, okay, compare and contrasting. Here, I didn't really compare and contrast so much. I just added. But I could have said, both being on the high seas and driving a car involve sometimes life and death decisions. Whereas being on the high sea, you might have to deal with bad weather. When you're driving, well, you have to deal with bad weather too, and you have to deal with traffic and other and people cutting you off and things like that. So I could say whereas as an example. Okay, we might add more language here, but what I want to do now is you take a look at page 16 and 17 on your computers. I will share the picture with you again right now, and you're going to try to go through all 4 steps in describing the picture. All right? So let's start with, so Daniel, I think you were the first I saw in class. I want you to try to use all 4 steps, saying no more than maybe 1 or 2 sentences each. It's got to be really short, or else we won't have time for everyone to do it, okay?
Okay.
So give it a try.
Um,
First,
yes.
say what you see.
There's supposed to be a pair of photos of people on a sailboat sailing.
Okay, good.
And
Now speculate about why. That's enough detail. It's perfect. If you can always add detail later, okay? But for now, we're going to keep it really short. So you said there appears to be people on a sailboat in these pictures. Is that right?
yes,
Good. Speculate about why you're seeing this.
uh, uh,
So what it has to
it's
do with decision making is start with that.
uh, I suppose.
Wait. Start with I want you to practice this particular expression. What it has to do with, then say the theme. What it has to do with decision making is, or I suppose what it has to do with decision making is, try with that in the beginning.
Okay, what it has to do with sailboat.
No,
Yeah.
that's not the theme. The theme is decision making.
Um,
So one more time. What it has to do with decision making is, and then you give a reason.
okay. Because mm, with the measuring wind speed
Right.
and one direction,
Right?
you must take a difficult decision,
Mm-hmm. Make a
uh,
difficult decision.
make a difficult decision,
Right. Okay.
like okay,
You can give an example. So go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
yes, maybe I don't know what to say in English. Open the sale or closing the sale. Uh,
Yeah. Opening up or
opening
closing the sales.
mhm, or turn the sale. I don't know.
Okay, good. Daniel, go back to our connectors on what page is that? On page, what did I say? It was
17.
17, yeah. Go back to our connectors on page 17. Use connector 2A. What it has to do with blank is. So say that again, but use that connector. It sounds good, so use it.
The the speculator uh, connector.
That's right. Try number 2A. What it has to do. Just repeat.
What
Has
it does. Okay.
to do with decision making is start with that.
What it has to do with
Decision making
decision making
is
is open sales app or close sales app. No,
I don't know. Is that what it has to do with decision making? It's up to you.
is when is with wine speed measuring or wine direction,
Wind direction.
wind direction.
Okay, what does that have to do with decision making? You're on the right track, but you got to be more specific. What does that have to do with making a good or bad decision, Daniel?
Uh, open or close the sale.
What about it? I don't understand. What does that have to do with making a good decision?
Maybe winning the race.
Okay, so you have to decide when to open and close the sale in order to capture the wind,
Win.
so that you can go fast and win the race.
Mhm.
Great. I want you to say that using our key words though. So I want you to say that. What it has to do with the theme is opening and closing the sales. That doesn't make sense. What it has to do with theme of decision making is you have to know very quickly, you have to decide quickly when to open and close the sales. right? You have to make a good decision quickly. That's what it has to do with. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to rephrase it, and I just want you to repeat it, and then I'm going to ask you to go on to step 3 and 4. I'm going to rephrase it, and then you repeat it. I'm going to start from the beginning. Well, in this picture, this picture appears to be people on a sailboat, and I suppose what it has to do with decision making is that when you're sailing, you have to make quick decisions, like knowing when to open and close the sails in order to catch the wind at the right angle, speed up the boat, and win the race. I just said what you wanted to say. I just changed a few words.
No,
But
it's okay.
I want you to repeat it back to me. I want to hear these words come out of your mouth.
Okay. um, it's difficult.
Do it. You can do it. You just did it. So, it seems there appears to be what?
Okay. The space to be a sailboat with people making decision.
Good. This appears to be a sailboat with people making decisions while they're
Like
sailing. Okay, good. Step 2. I suppose what it. Start there. I suppose.
I suppose
What it.
I suppose it.
I suppose what it has to do with decision making is. I want you to use that exact expression. Try it, Daniel.
I suppose there
Daniel.
yes.
Listen. Literally, I want you to read the page. Just read the page. Here, look. This. I
Uh,
want you just to read these words because I want
yes.
you to use a new expression.
Yeah,
Read
but
those words.
I don't understand exactly the meaning of what it has to do with.
No problem. No problem. I'm going to help you. No problem. What it has to do with means the connection. The connection is X, Y, and Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
The connection between the picture and the theme. So the theme is decision making.
Mm-hmm.
How is the picture connected to the theme? When I say connected, I use the expression to do with. To do with
Mm-hmm.
means connection.
Uh-huh.
Is that clear?
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
now you know.
What it has to do with making decision
Is
is
when you're sailing,
how to sail properly with a sailboat
right?
to win a race. For example, uh, open
When to
open
open,
opening the
when to open the, knowing when to open, or
wh-
deciding when to open.
deciding when you open or close the sails
Right.
or you catch properly the wind,
Wind. Uh-huh.
turn the sails again the wind or
Uh-huh.
not. I don't know about
That's good
sailing.
enough. That's good enough. You don't have to know about sailing. You have to know about metaphors. That's good enough. That's good enough. Okay, we're going to practice here, and I think the best thing for you to do is to write this as a text and send it to me so that I can correct it. And by the way, I'm very busy, so if I don't correct it, you have to send me a message and remind me because I have a lot of homework. I have
Okay.
a lot of things to do. But listen, what you said was perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. If you don't understand something, ask. I'll clarify it, and we'll try it again.
Okay.
So let's move on. Sylvia, I'd like you to give this a shot using the same connectors. We're all going to go around. This time, I would like you to try to use all 4 steps if you can. All right?
The first two are fine. Okay, I will try this other two. Well, there appears to be someone driving a sailing boat, and they seem to be making fast decision. I
Good.
suppose these pics are from an advertisement for a sales school.
Good.
Um,
And what does that have to do with decision making? What's the connection?
Decision making,
Yeah.
or for a marketing company.
Yeah, but you got to connect it to decision making because that's the theme, right? The theme is making business decisions. So what's the connection, do you think, between making business decisions and this picture? Especially if it's an advertisement. What are they trying to get us to think about or to realize?
They try to, but I have to choose one of these sentences because there aren't compare and contrast. Okay, I think that both these
Mm-hmm. This picture
picture,
and uh
pictures and the business company have
mhm.
in common the have in common. I don't know.
Have in common what? The need to make decisions quickly? What? The need to make good decisions?
Yeah, they need to make good decision in a really short time
Good.
period.
Mhm.
Offer a personal preference through a conclusion. Well, I'd say that the sale school both it's a good school for manager because it's a trainer for. In a nutshell, yeah, I think that the the sailboat school it's a good trainer for manager because they can improve their ability in
Mhm.
a funny way.
In an amusing way, in a fun way, in a fun way,
Huh?
in a fun way.
Yes.
That's it. It's very good. It's very good. So I need to correct some of your choice of words a little bit. Again, I'd suggest you write it, but this is what I heard. You tell me if I got it correct. What I heard was, well, this seems to be a picture of people sailing. I suppose it's part of some advertisement. And what both the advertisement and a company might have in common is the need to make decisions, good decisions quickly. So, in a nutshell, give me the nutshell again. I forgot what you said. So, in a
In a
nutshell,
nutshell, I think that the sailboat school is a good
uh training,
training
training
for, yeah, for
for
manager because can have they can improve their ability in a fun way.
perfect. Very good. I would say that would probably get you, uh, if not the top score, very close on the proficiency exam. That's exactly what they're
Yeah,
looking
thanks.
for. And here's the reason why. Because you looked at the picture and you came up with an idea, something new. That's exactly what they're looking for. It's good. Okay, so same as I said to Daniel. Write it as a text, send me the link to the text, I'll make corrections and I'll send it back to you. Okay?
Okay.
That's the plan. Not bad. We have time for maybe one or two more. Who else wants to give it a try?
Can I try?
Go for it. Absolutely.
Uh, okay. They appear to be uh, could you? They appear to be a sailboat. Uh, there are uh, there are some crews in
Crew
the sail,
members.
crew members in
Right.
there. I suppose that there are there are a lot of things they have to do, and they have their own job. One, I think, most important job is to control the mm, sale. Uh, um, uh, it's very important because uh, because without catching the good wind, they cannot go forward, and it would be very difficult to win the game, win the
race.
race. I think I don't imagine that they have a full of fighting spirit, and there is a leader. Leader have a great responsibility of his crew of the
Great responsibility. Well, what?
great responsibility.
It's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, and what they have in common is team spirit.
Teamwork.
Teamwork.
That's
Teamwork.
it. Teamwork.
In a nutshell, they are fighting sail crew.
Fighting?
They are
Fighting each other?
In a nutshell, I see the crews who are full of fighting spirit and how to say,
Well, you mentioned teamwork. So,
and teamwork.
So, what can we say about that? How are they working?
They are working to control the. They are working together.
That's the key word, right? How are they working? They're working together. If they know about teamwork, so that's actually a really good point that I don't think anyone brought up yet. Is the fact that making a decision is a team effort. That's actually a really good point. So I would say that would be a great thing to mention in an exam if you're going to take an exam. That people think about decisions, as being an individual thing, but this picture shows us clearly that if they didn't work together, it's at least three people. Because there's two different pictures, but I think they're the same people in the two pictures. But there's at least three people in the middle picture. If they weren't working in unison, the ship would not go in the right direction. So they have to make a decision, a group decision. I think that's a really good point. One thing, Yuki, one thing.
Yes.
The expression "to do with," the one that I was trying to clarify earlier, it's not the same as "to do." To do means you have a task. To do with means there's a connection. So if I say that expression, what it has to do with, it means how is it connected? For example, what the picture has to do with decision making is all the sailors must make a decision together. If they don't agree, the ship won't go anywhere. So the connection is, what it has to do with is. You see the difference?
Yes, I see the difference. Yes.
All right. So I like the point. I think it's a really good point that you brought up. Again, if you like, write it, send it to me, I'll correct it, and I'll send it back. It's a really good, because there's some things that I can't correct you on when you're speaking, or any of you, like little grammatical points. If I correct you on every grammatical point, you'll be lost. But if you see it written, you actually will probably remember it a lot better. Well, let's see. Maybe we've got time for one last one. So, Claudia, what do you think? Want to give it a shot before we go? Before we move on?
Okay. In this picture, we can see people, team worker maybe, on the sailboat, and in my opinion, there appears to take a fast decision because
make faster decision.
Make the fast decision because tide sprang up and they together have to roll up the sail and for don't sink. And And the important things in this picture is to work fast and together.
Work fast and
And
do it together.
And do it together.
Okay, good. Okay. Do we take a decision or make a decision?
Take.
Listen again. Do we take a decision or do we make a decision? Take or make?
Make.
Of course, it's make a decision, not take a decision. Take doesn't make sense in English.
Okay, to make, yes.
To make a decision, good. Here's what I would suggest. I would suggest, remember, in my notes for on page 17, how to describe a photo, I don't have every single expression you could use. I don't have everything, but I've got some suggestions for you. Obviously, whatever you want to say might not fit perfectly with those expressions, so you can add your own, as I'm hearing some of you do. But what I do suggest is you try to say one of those connectors, like it seems to be or there appears to be, and add your idea to that connector, or use your own connecting phrase, but try to keep it to one sentence. So try to keep it to about 4 sentences maximum, maybe 5, 6. That's about it. The reason is it really forces you to think about the form. And the form is give a detail, make a connection to the theme, compare and contrast it to show that you understand this theme, and then draw a conclusion or summarize. So that's the form we're going to go for. If you say too many things, it sounds like you're not really sure, and maybe for the purposes of an exam, you want to be short and concise. So it's good practice, okay? So Claudio, I would suggest that you try to keep it to 1 or 2 sentences per connector and try to go through all 4 stages like you did, okay? Okay? Again, write it, send it to me, I'll correct it, and I'll send it back. And you can do it by either pasting the text in the Verbling message system, which is always on the top right side of the Verbling page, not the Hangout, the Verbling page, or you can write it in Google Drive and put the link in the chat window, in the message window, right? That's another way, and then I'll see it. Shadow, did you have a chance? Maybe I skipped you. I'm sorry. Did I skip you or did you go? I can't remember. Shadow?
Yeah, teacher, it's okay.
It's okay. It's your turn.
Okay.
Give it a try. Let's see if you can do it in 6 sentences or less. You're going to try to do it as short as you can. That means 1 connector and 1 idea in those 4 stages. Say what you see, guess about why, compare and contrast, reach a conclusion. See if you can do it in 4 to 6 sentences. Are you ready for the challenge, Shadow?
Okay. I think this picture there are people making decision while they are sailing.
Good.
I suppose they are trying to open and turn the sails for the probably wind.
Mm-hmm.
I think both of them are trying to make a good decision.
Good, except that both, in this case, when you talk about both things, you're talking about the picture and something else. You're comparing it to your life, or you're comparing it to your experience. So how does this decision-making here relate to something that you know or that you've experienced in your life?
Oh, I think it's they need to be professional and have a good trainer if they want to make their decision quickly.
And has that ever happened to you, where you felt you needed to be more professional, or you were lucky to have a good trainer? Has that happened to you?
No, really.
Have you seen it happen somewhere else where you said, "Oh, they should be professional"?
Yeah, I see it in the movies.
Well, here's the thing. If you can think of a good example, then you can use that both comment. For example, let's say, have you ever seen the movie? I don't know. I can't think of a movie. I can't think of any movies where they have you ever seen the movie Wall Street?
Wall Street, I saw the beginning, then I think I didn't like it.
Yeah, not nice characters. In that movie, people were not professional. They were doing their jobs, but they were being not very professional because they were making decisions that were good for profit and bad for people. And maybe being professional has more to do with thinking through your decisions. And these people really have to work together and think of each other. Whereas both situations require decisions. In this picture, the decisions have to do with people. One wrong decision and everyone ends up in the water. Just as an example. Just as an example of how you can compare it to something that you know about. All right, just as an example.
Okay.
All right. So, and how would you sum it up then, Shadow?
I don't know really.
So, in a nutshell, all in all, I'd conclude by saying any of those.
So I'd prefer. This is something personal to me. If you,
Sure. Yes, you can go that way. Yeah.
Okay, I prefer to. It's about the pictures, teacher.
It's about what you said, so you can tie it back into the picture. You can tie it back into the experience in the movie, as long as it's coming from what you said previously. Because what you're doing is making an argument. You're saying, this picture, the argument is that this picture shows you that thinking of people is part of making it a good decision. That's really what you're saying. In fact, Shadow, that's your conclusion.
Okay, so I'd prefer to get some training before I involve myself in this situation.
Perfect, that's it. I'd prefer to get training before I have to make tough decisions, whether it's sailing or in business, for example.
Yeah.
That's it. That's very good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, you've all had a chance to practice verbally. The answers sound pretty good. Remember, you don't have to use the exact expressions that I've given you. All right? And I haven't been writing down a lot of vocabulary, but I have written down one thing important. I've heard more than one person say, take a decision, and it's actually got to be make a decision. So the collocation is make a decision. So that's, did I write down anything else? I don't think so. Let me just double check. What we're going to do now is take some of these ideas and see how they fit with the topic of making business decisions. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn the presentation. Today we're going to be just talking very much in general. Maybe we'll get into a little bit about personality and decision making, what kind of personality leads to different kinds of decisions. So, as a class, I want you to think about this. Think of one or two good decisions you have made. How much were you guided by facts and figures? How much did you follow your own intuition? Right? So, can you think of a decision you've had to make an important, particularly if it was a business decision? You have a decision, Claudio? Excellent. Could you share it with us? Everyone, Claudio's raising his hand. I can see him.
Teachers, excuse me a second. I have my boss on the phone.
Uh-oh.
Excuse me a second.
You better make a good decision. Your boss is on the phone. Daniel, I see you raising your hand because you've made a business decision recently that you're going to share with us.
Recently, not, but 10 years ago.
Yeah?
I changed my job city.
You changed
I
locations.
sorry.
You changed locations or you changed your job?
Yeah, my job and my location,
Ah,
because with my salary, I began to live better than the old place.
okay, good. So how much were you guided by facts and figures when you made that decision? How much of it was just your gut feeling? Your gut feeling means intuition. How much of it was your gut feeling and how much of it was based on facts and figures?
I don't understand the question. Sorry.
Oh, the question is right there on screen. See it? How much? See
Ah,
it?
yeah.
How much were you guided by facts and figures? How much of it was your intuition? When you made that decision,
Mm, I don't know. Even reading, I don't understand the question.
which part? Question, the
The
first
first
part?
one, the first one. How much were you guided
Uh-huh.
by facts and figures?
Okay. Guided is the same as getting advice.
Uh-huh.
To be counseled by is to be guided by. Like in Spanish, you probably say consejos or something like that.
Yes.
Okay. So guided means conselos or
Mm-hmm.
consejos.
Yes.
Facts and figures would mean that you, for example, read in one city the salaries pay higher, or in one country the salaries pay higher. So you read a fact about the salary. The figure would be the actual amount. For example, in Portugal, a teacher, my job, a teacher working in a
Mm-hmm.
private school earns, like not much, maybe €1,000 per month.
Mm-hmm.
In Italy, a teacher typically earns 13, maybe 1,400 a month. So I went to Italy to get a job. And for the moment, I'm in Portugal, but I'll be going back eventually. So I read facts and figures and I looked it up. It was true. I went to do interviews. So my decision was based a lot on the figures that I found.
Mm-hmm.
When you made that decision, what was it based on? Facts and figures or intuition?
I think facts and figures.
Good. Do you remember a fact or figure particularly that helped you make a decision?
Yet the facts is the job. The job. The job could be better for me, for my formation,
Huh?
my training, and the figures could be better because the renting a flat or eating it were cheaper than the
It was.
previous
It
location.
would be cheaper. It
It
would
would
be
be
cheaper.
cheaper. It could be cheaper. Yes.
Okay. So cheaper rent would be a
Yes.
figure that you look up. Facts, I put here better opportunities.
Mm.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's good. Um, Yuki, have you ever had to make a huge decision, a
Huge
big
decision.
a big business decision?
Business. Maybe it is not about business, but there was a economic crisis in Russia. It was a very serious default in economy. In that time, in that time, I had worked in Japanese company, Japanese company in Moscow, and I used to get to my salary by a local bank in Moscow, and after I hear the news of economic crisis in Russia, I I ran to I ran to the bank and I tried to get to my salary from my account, but I was first time in my life I was said that I was said by the bank clerk that there is no money, so I can we can't pay we can't pay. And in front of the cash dispenser, uh, there are many, there are long lines. So
So
after the,
you had to wait in line all day, and then when you got to the
yes,
front, they said no money.
yes, I waited for a long time, but it was no pain. It was no use. So and after that, that this bankrupted.
Went bankrupt. Went bankrupt.
Yes, bankrupted. So
Went. Wait. The expression is it went bankrupt.
yes,
To
the
go
bank went bankrupted.
Good.
Uh, uh,
Bankrupt.
bank.
No ed. Bankrupt.
Okay, the bank went bankrupt, and then I made a very great decision. I at that time I have a business trip to Finland, so I went to Finland, and then I tried to get my salary with my credit card from cashing machine in Helsinki in Finland. And it worked. I could I could deposit all my salary from this bank that was that went bankrupt already. So it
You were able to withdraw the money from the bank in Russia?
yes, I was able to withdraw my salary from my account, not in Russia, but in Finland, next country next
No.
to
I
Russia.
know, but the money was in Russia, right?
Yes, of course, money was put in my account in Russian bank that was already uh, bankrupted. So
So that was a decision following your intuition, wasn't
yes, it is following. It is based on my intuition.
I think when it comes to banks, following your intuition is a good idea. I, I remember many times going to the ATM, and even though I knew I had no money,
Yeah,
just just
it
trying out and seeing what happened.
it's it
One
was to
time
try. Yes,
it worked. Once it worked.
but
I was
it's
able to
very
with
strange.
yeah.
Bank was bankrupted, but online is working, and in another country I could deposit my salary. It was very strange, but it worked. So
Probably what happened was the bank in Helsinki was giving you credit.
maybe
And yeah, they
yeah,
were probably giving you credit.
possible. Yes,
And then that would force the bankrupt bank to send them the money, and then they didn't have the money, so the Helsinki bank lost money because of Yuki. So now the Helsinki bank went bankrupt because of you, Yuki, right?
yes, yes, right. Right.
Let's say a quick hello to Andri, who's joining us right now. Hello, Andri. How are you?
Hello, teacher. I'm glad to.
Oh, I can barely hear you. You're so quiet.
Yes, I'm forced to say quietly because I'm on a job right now.
Okay.
In the office.
All right. Well, if you're not able to talk, that's okay. If you are, then you can join us. If you just want to listen, because if you're at your work, it's up to you. All right. Are you able to talk or not?
I'm able to talk, but pretty quietly.
Very quiet. Okay. So what we're doing here is we're starting off the unit by talking about different kinds of business decisions, and we're going to try to link these to the kind of personality that a kind of business personality that might make one of these decisions. So we've given a few examples, like basing a decision on facts and figures, basing a decision on intuition. Look at this, Andre. Look at this one here. A second question I want to ask the class is, Does having more time produce better decisions? Or do you decide faster and more wisely under pressure? What do you think about this in a business context? Is it better to have more time, or is it better to have more pressure to make the right decision? What do you think, Andre?
I think it's better to have more time.
More time.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because in that way we would be able to make a perfect decision.
So if you have more time, it allows you
To
allows you
allows you to make a perfect decision.
perfect decision, really perfect. Is there such a thing as a perfect decision? Does that exist? or do you mean the right decision?
Right.
Okay, yeah. If I understand what you mean, if you say the right decision. Sylvia, what do you think? Do you agree with Andre that having more time is the best way?
No,
Why
because
not?
in the market because if you spend a lot of time to take a decision,
To make
you lose in
a
make a
decision.
decision. You can lose the the right kind of right with the other business company.
So spending too much time forces you to lose something, to lose out. That's a good expression, by the way, a phrasal verb, to lose out. Lose out means to miss an opportunity, to lose out, right?
Yeah.
Give me just a second here. Do I have another page? I don't think so. I'd like to connect this back to the kind of person. Yes, I don't have another page. Okay, I'd like to connect this back to personality a little bit. So we've got people that make fact and figure decisions. We got people that make intuitive decisions, what I call gut decisions. That's another really good. Whoops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. That's another really good expression. So we call these gut decisions versus, maybe we could say, versus head decisions. What I mean is your gut is that area near your navel, your belly button. You don't think down there, you feel. Head decisions use your brain. So my point is that we've got maybe two kinds of people. What would you call people that use gut decisions? What would you call people that use more head decisions? What do you think, Shadow? What would you call a person who uses their gut to make that kind of a decision?
I think we call them emotional people or
Emotional? Okay, sure. Emotional. We can say emotional decision makers. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Daniel, what would you call someone who uses their head? Like your case, you looked up facts and figures and you saw you could be earning more money somewhere else, right? That was not an emotional decision. So what would you call people who make those kind of decisions? But if they're not emotional, what are they?
Responsible.
Okay, so responsible decision makers. Now, responsible is subjective, right?
Uh-huh.
What's responsible for you might be irresponsible for me.
Responsibility.
No. Responsible is the right word, but I'm saying it's subjective. I may have a different idea about responsible. Maybe what we want to say here also is maybe rational instead of emotional. So let me ask you, I'd like to get some synonyms from the class. How many words can you think of that fit the emotional side or the rational side? How many words can you think of that fit one or the other? So Yuki, can you give me maybe an adjective that fits either emotional, like think of the type of decision you have to make. Think of the type of decision.
Decisive. No, decisive
No, that's
ヘッド
good.
で指示。
That's good. That's good. So type of decision.
Decisive.
Okay. So on the rational side,
And
well, no, you know what?
indecisive.
Yeah. You know what? That doesn't fit in either place, but it's a good word. Let me put it down here. Being decisive versus indecisive. Because you could be decisive or indecisive, maybe either way. I don't know. Maybe that fits more with emotional, doesn't it? Maybe we should move it up here.
If people who is at making decision, who is good at making decision.
Right, if you're decisive. So we probably associate that with more rational decisions, I guess.
It's more rational.
Okay, good. It's a good example. And Claudio, do you think you could add a synonym? So we've got decisiveness, decisive or indecisive. Claudio, would you add a synonym for the type of decision? What type of decision is a gut decision? How would you describe a gut decision? A decision that you make emotionally, other than good or bad. I want to hear another type of adjective. Can you think of anything?
Another adjective about a gut decision or head decision?
Either one, whatever comes to mind. Either one.
Head decision when I have a lot of time to think about the decision and take and make a good decision.
Mm-hmm. Instead of saying good decision, I want you to use a different adjective. That's how we're going to get our synonyms. Replace good with a better adjective, a more descriptive adjective. When I have lots of time, I can make a blank decision.
Blank decision. Okay.
What word can fill in the blank? I can make a what decision?
Blank is a right decision.
No. Blank means spazo. Empty. I'm saying
empty. Okay.
Replace blank with an adjective, but not good. Replace with another adjective. Not good, but what kind of decision? Can you think of an alternative to good?
Excellent.
It doesn't mean anything. Good, excellent. These are opinions. I want a descriptive. I want a description. If you're not sure, we'll pass and come back to you.
Okay.
Pass. Who wants it? Andre, do you want it? Can you think of a synonym for good, but a word that's more descriptive when you're making a head decision, a rational decision?
We could say the sane decision.
Sane decision. Okay, it makes sense. I don't know if you would say that in a business context, but it makes sense. I understand what you want to say. Here's my suggestion. My suggestion is a calm decision, one that you've had time to think about. I would say calm decision. Sane is a little bit extreme. It's not wrong, but it's a little bit extreme. Let's see. Daniel, did I do you? I did you. Shadow, did I do you? I can't remember. What would you say? Let's have the same sentence, but this time with a gut decision. If a rational decision is a calm decision, a gut decision is what kind of decision?
It's rush.
Irrational?
It's a rush decision.
Oh, rash. Got it. A rash decision. Very good. Rash. That means that you do it in a rush. You do it quickly. That's it. Well, I would like you on your own to try to think of some other adjectives that can fit in these categories. Rash and calm are great words to get us started. And the categories are more intuitive, gut decisions, and more rational head decisions. Think about these on your own. Tomorrow, tell me a few words that you've come up with. So think about these. We're going to use this as part of our vocabulary. In the next class, we're going to get exposure to more vocabulary by doing a reading task where we'll read, analyze, and categorize new words, and we'll use that to make a business decision of our own. So that'll be tomorrow at the same hour, 11 GMT. Tomorrow at 10 GMT, we're going to finish our short story from last Thursday. Yes, I know I didn't send you the homework. I know, Shadow. You don't have to tell me. I know. But it will be sent today. I promise. It's short. It's short. You'll see it. Okay, that's it for now, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow. And Sylvia, I'll see you later today at 2 o'clock my time. And think about synonyms for gut and head decisions for tomorrow's class. Bye for now, everyone. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye for now. See you.